Well, I make socks.
All right, let's start officially. Woo-woo! Episode 1. Maybe episode a half. We'll see if it turns into a trial run or not. I'm Tamu, and you are?
NalediS. I thought you would say you're Tamu from On the Lamb Designs or something.
Sure, I'm Tamu from On the Lamb Designs. Anyways, we are real life sisters. We both live in Ontario, Canada. I live in Cambridge and she lives in Collingwood. And really this is starting because I'm recruiting her to start sample knitting for me, dragged her a little kicking and screaming over to the knitting dark side, yarning dark side. Not to say that you couldn't knit before that, but dragged you back.
I wouldn't say you dragged me back kicking and screaming. I was just timid to get started, which is why I hadn't gotten that far into knitting before either. It was just this timidness about trying new stitches. Yeah. And I was like, you can only do garter stitch for so long.
True story.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah. So we're just going to chat about our knitting because I figure we chat about this stuff all the time right now anyways. True. So everyone's doing it. Let's record it and put it out there on the line and see what happens. So I have extremely minimal show notes right now because I'm I don't know what we're going to talk about. So where to find us. You can find me under a few different names because I'm in the process of transitioning over to my new business name. So on Ravelry, I am knittingdready. On Instagram, I am Tamu_is_on_the_lamb, and we'll put all this in some sort of fancy show notes situation, probably in the down bar on YouTube. And my designs are under Crafty or under my name, Tamu Hurley, on Ravelry. So I'll put all the links and stuff. You'll be able to find me. It'll happen. Do you want to say where you are? Who you are?
Yeah, sure. So my Ravelry is NalediS. I believe NalediS with a capital N and S is capital. I'm not going to spell it now. You just put in the link or in the description box. And then, again, with the Instagram, it's a private account because it's mostly just me and my kids, but I do accept requests most of the time.
We might have to set you up a separate yarning account.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Right now, anyway, if you want to see what me and my kids do most days, it's naledi.stones. And again, we'll put that in the description below.
Cool.
Yeah.
Anyways, what you wearing?
So, one of your shawls.
That is I'm totally going to butcher her name. Tega Hillard, I think is her last name, design. It might be a free pattern with some redonkulously bulky yarn that my fiber share buddy sent me. And it was this ginormous ball of super bulky yarn. I was I love it so much. It's all kind of rainbow, super variegated, rainbowy colors. And I was I don't know what I'm going to do. And then I finally saw this pattern and I think she has it all in yellow. And I do not, off the top of my head, I don't know what the pattern is called, but I'm writing it down. Yeah. Remember to look it up.
I was this is a good reason for me to switch off of socks and move to shawls because I'm yeah, I think I've got one shawl, one cowl that I'm working on, another cowl that you made. I'm I need to get off of socks for a little bit because I'm not going to be talking with my foot up next time we talk.
Although that is interesting.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
What are you wearing?
What am I wearing? I am wearing the Tilted Cowl, which is it just keeps going and keeps going and keeps going, from the mystery knit along that just got finished up a couple weeks ago. The pattern's by Sweater Freak Knits. I can't think of her real name. It might be Jenny. And this colorway and this colorway down here are both Koigu, and the middle is Mineville Wool Project, and I'll put all that. Yeah, it's I feel I wear it 4 out of 7 days a week right now. Because it's just like, it's so perfect to throw on. I'm like utterly in love with it. Like, it's everything I look for in a cowl. One, it was an interesting knit. My first mystery knit along that I actually finished. So it was like, you know, you do like a section, and then it was like, when that section's starting to get like, I don't really care anymore. Then you switch, and then you switch, and then you like, you know, bringing in other colors. And because it was a mystery, I picked my 3 colors, but I had no idea like what was going to be beside what or how they were going to work together. So I ended up like swapping out one of the colors before starting like for clue B, or well, the clue that you first use, color B, because it was like it was going to be so muddy you wouldn't have been able to see like that striping section at all because they were just too similar. So it was like an exciting adventure, a little bit like, oh, maybe I should just stop. And I'm like, no, don't stop. And I'm so glad that I finished it, because this is like, yeah, exactly what I look for in a cowl. It's just like, it's light enough, and I love that it covers like seriously to my waistband. Like, so no matter what I have, like if I have a shirt and I'm like, oh, there's kind of a mark on it, put the cowl on. Nobody will see it because it's under the cowl. And it's just,
that's one really great reason why I need to start making shawls, because I'm like, I don't love shopping. I don't love having to buy new things. So I'm like, yeah, and most of my clothes are stained from my 3 children, always and, like handprints on me.
Yeah.
I'm like, hide it with a shawl would be like the perfect solution.
Well, and there's like days
where it doesn't help in the summertime though. Doesn't help in
the summertime. I have a few that are light enough that like, because you know, like for me, I can be a bit self-conscious. So I'll put on like a tank top, and then I'll start to be like, is it too tight? Is it too low cut? Like, what's happening here? Why is this thing bulging? Like, you know, you got mom bod. So like, things just happen. Like, you know, some days I'm like, ooh, yeah, look at me in my tank top. And other days I'm like, don't look at me in my tank top. So I'll like put on a shawl, and then I feel covered without like wearing something that's like so covered that I feel like I'm sweating to death just so that I'll be hidden, you know? Like it's like I can put on a little something that just like covers up a little cleave, or like, you know, distracts your eye away from a little gut, like, you know.
So, sorry, going back to your cowl though, and like the yarn choices, you were saying like you didn't want the striping to be muddy. You wanted it to be like, that was just your choice? Because I think like with the fading, like a fade, you were saying before, like the muddiness is kind of good because you can't really see
where
the changes.
It's funny, I wasn't even really thinking about it like that, because the second color that I picked, if I had it handy, I would show you. It had teals in it, and it had grays in it, which is why I thought like, okay, it kind of ties, because this has some grays in it. It's hard to see maybe on the camera, but you know, there's some grays in here. There's some teals that kind of go to lighter, and then they get to like a very pale gray. And the middle color that I had like brown, a little bit of navy, some darker teals, and some grays. And so it was like when I started to like put the 2 beside each other, I was like, ooh, you're going to lose that striping section. And I was like, again, because at that point I didn't know what the rest of the shawl was going to look like, or the rest of the cowl was going to look like. So I was like, I don't know if I want that to be invisible or visible, right? Like, because I think this was one clue, that was one clue. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so that by itself was one clue, that striped section. And so it was just like, if I put like this next to this muddy stripe section, it would have just looked like solid stockinette. Like there wouldn't have been a feature there. And because I didn't know what the next thing was going to be, I'm like, I don't know how that's going to work. So, and same with like, you know, this section, if I had put this gray next to that other color, any spots where it was very, like where this gray color was very dark and the other color was quite dark, you would lose any kind of contrast. So that wouldn't have, you know, like these parts right here, you wouldn't have been able to see that there was different colors there. It would have, I think it would have taken away from the striping effect. And I was like, I like a bold stripe. So I'm just going to go with bold stripe.
Yeah.
Speaking of this cowl.
I was just going to say, you're making another one.
Yeah, because I'm utterly, I have one on the needles and I think I have another one planned.
Okay.
Because it's like, again, it's just like, the other feature that I absolutely love, and like when I make a cowl for myself now, I build this in, or not now, but like prior to this knit, is how the back is so short. Because my hair is quite long, and dreadlocks are like a bit abrasive. Like they don't feel it. Like mine feel quite soft, but they just add extra wear and tear onto the backs of things. So like
but now you've got a gleaner, baby.
it's true story. But for a long time, I did not have a gleaner. So literally I could buy a top at the store, like especially anything with like acrylic in it, or like, you know, any kind of synthetic material. I buy a shirt, wear it once, and the back will be all pilled from like the top to wherever my hair would hang at that time. Like it would just look, and it just takes away from like things looking nice, you know? Plus I also don't like the feeling of like a ton of, like if all of this was bunched up at the back of my neck, I'd be like, I can't put my head right. Like this doesn't feel good. Anyways, so I started another one. So right now I'm working on this 100 Days of Flamingo Yarn project because I have a little bit of a problem. Yeah, so in keeping with my flamingo obsession, I had this mini skein kit that I had gotten from the Yarn Enabler, who I love. And so it's like this color, I think was like an 85 gram skein. So I have like quite a bit of this. And then it had these 4 minis with it. Ooh, last one. These 4 minis. And I kept it in my stash for so long because I was like humming and hawing. I don't know what I'm going to do with this. Like I thought of, you know, like what if I did like hot pink socks and then striped the other colors at the top. Anyways, then this cowl came into my life and I was like, oh yes, it will be a flamingo cowl. Because it was like, this one's quite subdued. So I thought this would be cute to have like a bright one. So obviously the top in the hot pink. And then I started striping together the other colors last night. So I did the black and white, and then I added like a thicker stripe of the light pink, because otherwise I'm not sure where I'm going to put the light pink in the rest of it. And so I'm thinking the rest of this striping section is going to be black and white, like after that pink stripe. And then I think this section might end up being yellow. We will just because like then when it hangs, you're going to see really the pink, the yellow. And then I think this section, I might go back to, I think I was thinking I might go back to the black and white again, and then I might end again with the hot pink, but I'm not sure.
Right.
It'll be a little bit of like a tweaking to go along, and and because yardage will obviously play a role, because I can't recall how big these minis are, but they're not very big, and this grows as it gets longer. So I'm partially why I was thinking this yellow, because I think it won't end up being so wide. I think it'll end up being smaller, so then I might have to like make another section wider. So anyways, we'll see what happens. Yeah, I'm excited about it. I'm excited for variation.
I'm like, I have to see it. Like I picturing something in my mind, it doesn't work as well for me, but I'm like, I can kind of see it, and I think it looks cute in my brain. If it turns out the way I'm picturing it, it looks cute.
Yeah,
for what it's worth.
Yeah, sometimes I picture things, but the way things look in my head and the way things look in reality doesn't always jive. Yeah. So it's like, which is the hard part about designing, because like in my brain, I can do all sorts of amazing things with yarn and 2 sticks. And then in real life, I'm like, it doesn't work. It looks terrible. Like those stitches.
That's what we were talking about with the kids, though. It's the same thing. Like you build that expectation in your brain. Even if the outcome is cute, you're like, but it's not what I pictured. Yeah.
Makes it hard. Oh, and I have to show off my flamingo bag.
I have one of those too, but it's not even mine.
This one is from Mrs. Brown's Bags, again, who I love. And this fabric, I can't think of what her name is. I'll put it in the notes. This is like the best flamingo fabric, and for the longest time, I feel like the light is making it look weird, but for the longest time, I knew that this fabric existed, and I was like, someday I will have that fabric in my life. And then finally, I caught one of Mrs. Brown's Bags updates and had to grab it. And then your flamingo bag is from Ginger Snap, who's also, they're both Canadian. Which again was like, ooh, flamingo fabric. Yeah. Anyways, show what you're working on.
So this is also
in the flamingo sphere.
Yeah, I was gonna say, this is also part of your 100 Days of Flamingo yarn, although I'm not really doing a full 100 days. So this is one of your designs, the On the Land Designs Flamingo cowl that I cast on last night and made it this far. And I'd like to point out how my tension is not so tight anymore on purpose.
We're working on it.
So, and the yarn, I have to find the tag because I don't remember this kind of stuff yet. I'm not like
It's Young Yarns.
Young Yarn.
Pinkamingo or something like that.
Pinkamingo, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What do I say? What kind of yarn it is? Like what's that? What it's made of?
Oh, you can if you want to.
Oh, okay. So this is 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon.
Yeah.
EK weight yarn. Yeah, this is really fun to knit up.
Mm-hmm.
I
like that it's so.
What?
I like that it's a quick one.
It is. It's coming up really, really fast, and that I can actually like do it like it's a new pattern that I've never done before, and I can do it, and like someone will be sitting beside me. I can kind of like chat with them and like keep track of like what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome. I have to admit though, I made a mistake. But I was like, it will pass the Gallup test. Keep going.
That is like my new favorite thing. So if you have not watched Christy Glass Knits, and I can't recall who she was interviewing.
Yeah, there it is.
Showing off samples of their various patterns, and the person said when she teaches a class, she teaches people. So I'm like I used to be very fastidious, we'll say, not anal, fastidious, that I would like go and correct every little mistake. And then I kind of went the opposite way, where I'd let like too many things slip to the point that like, blankets were like really wonky. And now I'm kind of like, how visible is it going to be? Does it really affect like the wear of something? Is it just a little blip that I can fix sort of on the next row, or do you have to frog back kind of thing? So we've been working on the like, not every mistake has to be fixed. And yeah, that Gallup test was like, if somebody's on a horse galloping by, could they see that mistake? And I'm like, 99% of the mistakes you make, you would never see galloping by. That doesn't mean you don't fix them. Like, but it's still, made me laugh.
What I did was like a whole extra like half row of the pearl knits.
Oh.
So it's like one side is actually a little bit taller than the other, but again, like you wouldn't really know. Mm-hmm. The only thing that I'm like that is really bothering me about this. We've talked about this before. It's funny that this was like the next project, and I think I already had it, and you'd already written up the pattern before I said this. But I think last time I was at your house, I said like I don't like to start a row with a purl stitch.
Yeah.
Because this is what's happening. You can probably, and I'm hoping it will like fix with blocking.
You gotta like move it way closer to the camera.
Can you see that?
The ladder?
Yes.
Yeah.
Does not matter how much I try and like, pull a little tighter or like move my knitting needle over. I'm hoping it will like fix itself with blocking. I don't really feel like it will all the way, but whether that's just like I'm always going to struggle with that, or it's more experience, it will work itself out. I'd love to see like how, or maybe it's because the rest of my stitches are still tighter and this would be how it's supposed to be. I don't know.
I'm trying to think of mine and I can't think of where it is right this moment. But
I was like, of course, as I profess this out loud, the next project starts the rows with pearls. Mm-hmm. Is there a reason for that? Did it have to be?
I can't remember. I think at one point there was a reason, and then I think at some point later I realized that it wasn't actually necessary. You know what I mean? Right. Like there was a reason at one point, but now I can't remember what it was. And then
I should have asked you and then just switched to knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl. Anyway.
It probably would have been fine, except I think for certain spots, like where there's increases, then you wouldn't.
Yeah, that is the reason why.
Would have maybe had to like manipulate it a little bit.
With the increase, am I giving away secrets if I say what the increase is? Okay, because you use the knit, purl, knit.
Yeah.
Increase. You can't purl, knit, purl.
You probably could. I don't know. Never tried it. I don't know. I don't see why it wouldn't work.
Right.
I mean, you could probably knit, purl, knit into a purl stitch. Like, I don't think that would matter necessarily either. Because, so the reason, like, you know how we were talking about doing the increases in the knit row? So the way that this stitch pattern works, there's like a knit row and then there's an row. The reason I did that increase in the knit row is because you do the purl row right over top, and then you kind of can't see what's underneath it anyways.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because you were saying about like, do you want the purl like over, like, do you want the purl there like that? And I was like, yeah, but once you do the purl row, you can't even see it. So it's like, whatever. I guess in keeping with the flamingo theme, These were my leg warmers that I made for myself for Halloween.
I have yet to see a picture of you wearing them. Did you take one?
I did. It sucked. I was going to post it anyways. I think I posted it on my, so when I'm not knitting, I do lots of other things, including teach a program called Salsa Babies. So I think I posted it on my Salsa Babies Instagram account, like with my costume picture, because my costume was like an 80s Salsa Babies instructor, sort of. Anyways, so I think I did take a picture. I think I posted it there, but I did not post it yet on my my yarning account. Anyways, so it's hard to see. I feel like the light is not good for showing off this color. It's very peachy, I will say.
Yeah, you can really see, it's like, is it speckly? Because you can really see there's like pink and orange.
Yeah, so the sock yarn that I used is kind of variegated. I should have brought the rest of the ball. So it's mostly a pale pink with a little bit of like, I don't know if it's supposed to be gray or like slightly blue, because it kind of shows up in different spots, a little bit of dark pink and a little bit of yellow. But then I held it double. So that colorway was called Flamingos, and it was by Vicky Brown from the UK. And I don't know, like traditional sock yarn. I think it's a 80-20 nylon or merino nylon. And then I held it double with the silk mohair from Stranded Ddyeworks from Amy in her legless flamingo colorway. So her flamingo legs, you wouldn't know this, other people might know this. Her flamingo legs colorway is usually like corals and peaches and pinks with like black like streaked through it. But the legless flamingo, it's like all of that without the black. So it's like, it added this like orangey, corally, pinky kind of tone to the whole thing. And I quite like it. They're quite soft. Kind of want to like sleep on them. And they were nice and warm, like warm without hot. Like, yeah, I'm quite smitten with them. Anyway, so that pattern will be coming as part of my flamingo series of fun. One more flamingo thing. Where did I put it? My Halloween bag from Crochet One Knit Two. My Flamingo Nights sock. I think they're going to be, I know they're going to be, I just don't know how long they're going to be. But like a regular sock foot with like that flamingo leg warmer kind of cuff. We'll see how tall it ends up getting, but that's the plan.
Cool. So when you say my Flamingo Nights, is it just a vanilla sock, or is there going to have something of your pattern in there?
Oh, sorry. The colorway is Flamingo Nights.
Oh, okay.
Pattern wise, yeah. The bottom is just a vanilla toe up sock, but then I'm going to do like a leg warmer cuff in my pattern. I want to see how it looks with the self-striping yarn. So if it doesn't jive, then I'll just finish them off as a regular, probably vanilla sock.
Right.
But hopefully it'll work to be part of that pattern, just because I really like, so when I design stuff, I generally really like seeing it in different kinds of yarns, different color applications. Like sometimes I want a semi-solid, but then I'm like, well, what would it look like if I did it with a speckle? And then what would it look like if I did it with a self-striping, or like a different kind of variegation, or something with more pooling or whatever. So that's why usually I have like 5 samples of everything, because I just want to see it in all the colorways. So like that Flamingo Cowl, and there's something on my screen and it's making it look like there's something on my face. I'm like, what is it? Yeah, so that Flamingo Cowl, I did it in Yarn Inks Flamingo colorway, which is very lightly speckled, and it's a worsted weight. And then the yarn you're using, the Young Yarns, is more heavily speckled, sort of variegated. And it's actually a DK weight, but we're going to treat it as a worsted and see.
Oh, okay.
Just treat it as a worsted in terms of using the same needle size that I use.
Oh, okay.
Then switching down.
Because of my tension.
Well, partially because of that, but also because just holding the 2 yarns side by side, like the Yarn Ink, it's funny. The thing that's like interesting and challenging sometimes about designing is that I can say fingering weight, but the range of yarns within a fingering weight can be so broad, or like even a worsted or a DK. Like it's not, there's really no one yarn weight within that category. They're all a little bit different. Some are more fine, some are, you know, more fuzzy, whatever. So like the worsted weight, when I held it next to that DK, to me, were like almost exactly the same. Like it was hardly, you could hardly tell the difference in the density, I guess, the thickness of that yarn. So it just makes it a little bit tricky, you know, when you're trying to like suggest yarns for people to use with a pattern. Like, you know, if I say worsted and then you go for a heavy worsted because it still says it's worsted, you might get something totally different than what I did. So anyways, we'll see how it goes with the DK on the same needles. And yeah. What else? What else are you working on? Do you have anything else on your needles?
Yes, I do, despite saying that I wouldn't do that, but there's good reason for it.
I'll have to say, I'm like impressed by your monogamy so far. You've been very like, start one project, finish one project, onto the next, start one project, finish 99% of the time. And I'm like, I'm so the opposite knitter. I'm like, start one project while thinking about the next thing. Like there'll be nights where I cast on 2 or 3 things in one night because I just like, I can't decide. So I'll just cast them all on and see what I like to knit on.
Crazy to me though. I just know something wouldn't get finished then.
Yeah, sometimes they don't get finished. But like most things are not on a deadline, right? So it's just like, you know, like I have things in project bags like that. They've been in there with needles in them for like a year. I'm like, who cares? Like, you know, it was enjoyable to knit on while I knit on it. And then I was like excited about something else. I'm like, start on the next thing.
Yeah, yeah. I get what you're saying though, because you said before, like, it's nice to have an easy project on the needles while you're like, you know, working on something more complicated, because then you can put something in timeout if it frustrates you and like take out the easy thing, right?
Well, and travel projects. So today I took my oldest to the dentist and I took those Flamingo socks with me because I was like, I really wanted to take my Tilted Cowl, but I need to remember like, you know, what the increase pattern is. And right now I didn't cut the hot pink color yet because I was like, I just wasn't totally sure what I was going to do. So, I have like 3 balls of yarn attached to the project. Like there's strings everywhere and mini skeins in the bag. And I was like, I take that to the dentist. It's going to drive me banana sandwich. So I was like, I better just take something super vanilla. I don't have to look while I knit it. I don't really have to think about it, you know, just knit.
Yeah. Okay. So I've got two socks that are in progress, two different pairs of socks that are in progress. This one is another pair for my husband. Because I made him, my first ever completed pair of socks was the Pairfect Regia. Again, just a vanilla sock.
I need to get you to make me a pair with that yarn because I have another ball of it.
Yeah, well, I did another Regia pair for you, but not the Pairfect. Yeah, I loved it. It was so simple and easy to do, and how I learned all my sock skills. Anyway, so I used, because I don't really want to have any waste yarn left over. Toe is the rest of the Pairfect Regia sock ball of yarn, just because I didn't want to waste any yarn. And it's amazing. I was playing chicken at the end of the heel, and it worked out just fine. And then the main color of the sock is just random yarn that I had from a really long time ago, going to Len's Mill with you. I don't know if you remember that trip. It was so long ago. Anyway, I think I got like 4 or 5 balls of yarn. And
I think if I'm not mistaken, it's like a Patton's Croy sock.
I think you might be right.
Like a brown heathered, just because I just remember there was like a period of time where Patton's Croy sock was like all I would use for sock knitting, because it was just like always the right amount, not very expensive. Like it was just perfect for when you're learning.
Right. And I want to branch out a little bit and not just do straight stockinette stitch. So I've got the 3x1 rib on this one.
Yeah.
Which is fun. But the reason that these are not getting completed yet, there's a purpose, is because I only have this much yarn left to do the leg part for his socks. And he said he didn't want them to be ankle socks, which is fun. I don't mind making them longer if it means he'll wear them. So I'm going to have to go to the yarn store, which was my first ever trip to the real yarn store, the big girl yarn store in town. But I need an opportunity to go without my kids. So they've been in timeout, not because I want them to be. I still love them very much. They're not in trouble. I need to go to the yarn store to get some more yarn for him.
Yeah.
Those ones.
Yeah,
And
it's shocking to me that you have lived in Collingwood for 7 years or something. And I have never been to that yarn store. And it's like, I know there's been different times where I've like looked up whether or not there was a store in Collingwood. And then
the Santa Claus parade.
Yeah, I was going to say I was trying to remember if it was last year or the year before. Last year, and we were standing like right outside of it, but it was closed. And I was a little bit like, open the door. Like, let me in, yarn store. I was like, I never need any yarn. Like, let's just be totally honest. I don't need to go in there, but I want to go in there because it's like principle of the matter. Like, we are in Collingwood regularly enough that there's no reason I haven't been there. Other than like time. Time and kids, and we're there.
Yeah, every time. I mean, like, I wasn't really knitting. All of my knitting needs, I would get supplies from Walmart. Like, I was just, for the longest, I think for like the last 7 years or something, I've been knitting dishcloths every Christmas for people. It's like that. I just use like Bernat cotton. Like, obviously, if you're gonna use it to wash dishes.
Yeah.
So I've never had a real need to go in there. And then every time I'm like in that area, it's always with kids, because Ada was going to ballet at that point, or there's like a coffee shop that we go on like girl dates together or something. Yeah. Anyways, so
yeah,
come on up anytime and we'll go shopping. Oh my!
Take a quick 2.5 hour drive to the yarn store and back. Speaking of dishcloths, I'm teaching a class tonight.
I was gonna talk about my other whip.
Okay, whip it out.
I can't believe you're making dishcloths right now. This is the other one. So I made you a pair of Regia socks. Yeah. So, and because
it was funny because I think like after you left, I was wearing them. So I've been wearing them pretty well every night or every day. I only don't have them on right now, so I could show them without doing the awkward like, here's my foot. Yeah. They're looking a little grody.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It doesn't take long though, hey? Like, that's why I need more socks, because I wear them, like the same as you, every night for like a week.
Yeah. With yarn like this, like these are fine. Like, I just whip them in the washer when I think about it. You know what I mean? These ones I think specifically are looking a little extra minging because they haven't been washed yet. So like there's extra, I find always the first wear until they get washed the first time, there's like extra fuzzy, pilly ick that happens. Anyways, so I had these on, I think after you left that night, and looking at my feet and like, oh, I have new socks and I didn't have to make them. And then I was like, I'm pretty sure this is the first time anybody else has ever knit socks for me. Like maybe when I was a baby or something that I wouldn't know about, but like, I think this is the first time anyone's knit socks for me. I'm like, so yeah, that makes them extra special.
And then we're gonna have twins soon.
We're gonna be fraternal. They're extra fraternal twinnies.
Yeah.
Or quadruplets.
Quadruplets, yeah.
But yeah.
Definitely fraternal quadruplets.
Oh yeah.
And one of your socks is going the opposite direction.
Yeah. Oh right, because he started from the opposite end of the box.
Yeah.
And then I was at Len's Mill because I needed stuff for Halloween costumes.
Nice. That's what you're talking about.
But like a different color, like slightly different. It's the same family, like the 6-ply, because I was like, oh, I really like 6-ply socks. I don't, what would 6-ply be for people who know? Sport weight, maybe. I quite like a sport weight sock. And I like that these are 150 gram skeins. 150 grams for $17 is like a good deal to me. Anyway, so yeah, it's the same yarn, should be the same treatment, but slightly different. So there's like a teal in there, a teensy bit of like a beige color, a lot of like white or like off-white with like little black blips, and then with little blue blips. So we'll see how they actually knit up. But I was like, I'm going to give this to NalediS and she's going to make me some more socks.
You should also clarify that right now, all of my yarns, except for that one I showed for Jason's, are from your stash. And that's how it will stay.
Discussed many times. 1, I don't need more yarn. 2, stashing and knitting are 2 separate hobbies. And the problem with the stash always is that there is stuff that is stashed that has been stashed for so long at this point, I forgot why I bought it. I may or may not actually be interested in it anymore, but I can't get rid of it. So I'm like, it's perfect. I'm like, yeah, go in my stash, see what's there. I'm like, I have one box that is definitely like there are projects still on my list and this yarn is designated for those. another box that's like, I still like these, and then a few pockets all over the place that are just like, like go into the pockets and see what you find, because most of it you can probably just take. Anyways.
Also, all my project bags come from you as well.
Yeah.
I sometimes now I have like the like a work in progress and a future project in the same project bag, because I don't have that many. But I love this one, like the Canada flag that's like on the needles.
Yeah. I can't remember. Somebody I know had one. It might have been Wendy from Creating Beauty in the Dawn. She is like she does a ton of test knitting. So her feed is always like with projects. Yeah. And she homeschools her kids too. And anyways, I think it was her who had that project bag. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, I'm going to require that. You're going to have to tell me where you got it. And I think I ordered 2. So I could have one and I could send one to my next fiber share buddy, because I really like doing fiber share. And so my new strategy, not that new, but the last couple of rounds, is like certain things that I just think are like cool or cute that I would send to anybody, I will kind of collect up here and there. So if I'm already ordering something from someone, or if I see something on sale, I'll be like, oh yeah, this is something that like everybody should have one of these, you know? So that was one of those things that I like tucked away for a future fiber share. And then I don't even think I ended up giving it to whoever my last fiber share buddy was, because it wasn't from this round, it was from the one before. Anyways. Yeah. What else? So
your dishcloth.
Oh yeah. You said dishcloth and I was like, oh yeah, I'm teaching a class tonight.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, you're just sitting and knitting a dishcloth? Like, no.
I'm not opposed to knitting dishcloths for people who really enjoy it. I'm not poo-pooing dishcloth knitting. I
love it. I look forward to, I'm like, it's Christmas season. I got to go stock up on my Bernat cotton yarn again to do. Yeah. People in my family, they like, it's an expectation now that I'm going to, like Jason's sister, an expectation that I will bring her year's supply of dishcloths. Yeah.
I need my 2018 dishcloths, please. Yeah, I have nothing against knitting dishcloths. I just have so many other projects in mind and on the needles that I'm like, spending time just doing this for the purpose of doing it would like make me want to tear my hair out. But I love that project for knitting classes because it's generally fast. There are quite a few skills in there. And it's something practical and usable. Cause like in the past I've thought, oh, well, we'll make something that you'll wear like a scarf or whatever. But like, if it's imperfect, you know, some people, the first scarf like has flaws and they don't want to wear it because it has flaws, or, you know, don't want to give it to their kids or whoever. So I like that because I'm like, even if it's imperfect, like the worst it could possibly be is that it just falls apart into yarn, but that's like impossible, right? Even if it's imperfect, I'm like, it's going in dirty water filled with dishes. Like, who cares? You know, like if it's not a perfect square, nobody will know. And I find those dishcloths like stretch out and get stained, and they look worse after the first use anyways. So I'm like, who cares? Like, it's
and the extra texture is only good for getting rid of gone grime.
Totally. Yeah, but it's actually like a practical knit that I'm like, everybody, once people know you can do it, then everybody you know will want them.
Yeah.
That's probably why I also stopped knitting them a little bit, because I was like, stop asking me for dishcloths. I don't really love knitting with pressure, with like it's like I need deadlines, but I also dislike deadlines. And so I'm like, people being like, can you knit me this? Can you make this for Christmas? Like, makes me crazy a little bit. I feel like I'm gonna sneeze. It's gone. Anyway, so yeah, tonight I am teaching a dishcloth class. Say that 5 times fast. A dishcloth class, or like 4 with Life with a Baby, which is a local mom group. So I offer my services. They post it for me. We put it all together. So it's kind of like a mom's night out thing. So yeah, should be fun. We have a pretty good sized group. So.
Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Sorry, there's a baby spider on my monitor, and I was trying to like guide it away. It didn't really matter. It could have stayed there, but it was bothering my eye, and then I ended its life.
Maybe it was his day.
Apparently. Yeah, apparently.
Oh my goodness. When I was getting home to like, set all this up, we've had a spider. I apologize to people who dislike spiders. We've had a spider living behind our mailbox for like at least a month, if not longer, like a big spider. And the only reason I figured out it was even living back there is because like between the mailbox and the wall, there was like a web that was kind of like in a triangle-y shape there. And there was a few like quite large moths and things stuck in it. And so I was kind of like, whatever thing there. And then the one day I was getting home so on Monday evenings, I teach yoga. And I was getting home from yoga. So it's like, dusk out, it's kind of dark. And it's like, oh, there's something caught in the web. Like, but it was sitting like close to the wall. So I'm like, oh, there's something caught in the web. For whatever reason, I blew at it to see if it was still alive because that makes perfect sense. And it ran back behind the mailbox and I was like, ah, what the hell? So I like ran into the house and slammed the door because clearly it was trying to chase me. Yeah, like scared the crap out of me. Anyways, I totally thought by now he's got to be gone because the web was kind of falling apart. Like it's been there for a long time. And there wasn't anything new in the web for the last little while. It's been just too cold. I assumed it was gone. And I got home today and he was just like sitting on the mailbox, like totally still. Just like, he's lucky we don't use. So we actually have a community box like down at the end of the road where our mail gets delivered. So our house mailbox is purely decoration / storing bizarre religious materials that I never look at. Like I know they're in there and I never take them out. Because I'm sorry, for people who are religious, nothing against you. I'm just not religious and I don't need your flyers. So they're just in the mailbox. They've been there for years probably. I wish they would timestamp them when they drop them off so we could see how long. Actually, I think there's a little newspaper in there. I should take it out and see what the date is. Because I don't even think of opening the mailbox anymore. Because like, unless I'm expecting you to drop something off and say, I'm going to leave it in my mailbox, I don't open it. Because everything else gets delivered down the road or gets left like right on the porch or something. Anyways, so that spider had a good home for a while. I don't know where he's planning to go now, but it better not be into my house or he's...
Yeah, I was just going to say, we also have a pet spider in our house now. She's been there for like a month and a half at least, and she's got a name. It's Vanessa, and we're like, I think obviously one of the kids, because there were two. It was like the male and the female were close together.
Yeah. How do you even know they're male and female?
Well, it's like because she's been there for like a month and a half, we kind of like see how things are, right? Like there was the male and female. One was small. We also, again, our kids don't go to school, so this has like been very educational for us because the females tend to be bigger, and there is an egg sac close to her now. But yeah, Jason just figured.
Oh, get rid of it before it opens up.
I know. That's where I was like, okay, this is where I want to draw. Well, actually, there were two things that made me want to be like, okay, she's got to go. First was the egg sac that's there, and I was like, we're gonna have like hundreds of spiders in her, and she's big. She's
my goodness,
big size. But it's been fun to watch her because Jason will like throw like at the end of the summer. Jason would like throw those like big mosquitoes. I don't know if those were the things as well. He'd like throw, and it'd be like really cool to watch her, climb across the middle, like climb across her web and like really quickly, start spinning it and whatever. It's been really cool. She stays there. She doesn't explore the house. She found like her prime real estate and she's like got a system. And then the other time I was like, this is too much, was like a lot of like teeny tiny flies.
Yeah.
Like at least 50 teeny tiny like flies like all over her thing. And I was like, this just looks weird now. But then the next day she cleaned it all up. She's very efficient. It's been very cool to watch her. So
because she's storing up energy to have 100 million babies released into your house. I'm never coming to your house again, just so you know.
I also don't like spiders, but because, she, like Daddy Longlegs will move around the house kind of. But she's just like stays where she is. At some point, probably should do something about it because I don't want all those babies around the house, but because I'll kill them, apparently. You can't help it.
Yeah, put her outside at least. No, I can't handle that. Yeah. Not a fan. Anyways, anything else we want to talk about? Oh, I know what I was going to say. I busted out my Zoom Loom last night. I was like, low mojo last night, like very low mojo.
What's a zoom loom? What do you do that?
It's for weaving. So you can make these little, I don't know, I think it's, I can't remember. I want to say 4 inches by 4 inches, but I'm looking at it and it looks smaller than that.
It does look smaller.
Well, like the actual like loom too, like looks.
Oh, okay. It looks like 3.
Maybe 3 by 3. Whatever. It's some inches by some inches, and you take your yarn and you like weave it this way and you weave it that way, and then you have this like really long needle and you go like to do like the final weave, and then you pop it off and you have this like little square. So this yarn is 100% BFL from Dawn Orchid, which is a locally dyed yarn by this girl Charlene, who I think is super cool. Cool that she's starting to dye yarn now, because we've known each other through a local knitting group for quite a while, and she just started dyeing yarn, I don't know, maybe in the last year-ish. So she has like these little mini ones, and then that was like from a full skein. So I have an idea I'm going to put together, but I'm not going to tell you yet.
Oh, okay.
Anyways, I was like, yeah, I was feeling like very low mojo yesterday. So I was like, I'm just going to go with that and give myself an off like rest day. So I pretty much just curled up on the couch and watched some bad movies, which actually turned out to be not as bad as I thought they were going to be. But yeah, but so it was like trying to decide what I was going to knit on. I was like, I don't feel like knitting on anything, but I also like want to knit on something. It's a very conflicting feeling. Anyway, so that at some point I was like, I'll just bust out the Zoom Loom and see what happens. So yeah, it's fun to do because it's like very, like once you know how to wrap it and you got the pins all situated, like it's super easy to do. I love too that it's very low yardage, and I can't remember what, I want to say it's like 4 ounces of yarn. Like it's the smallest amount of yarn to make a woven square. Now this one's like pretty holy because this is like a very light fingering yarn, but like you could use, you know, worsted weight or something like that and have it be more filled in. Partially why I wanted to try this is because once I'm done putting this together, I'm going to felt it because I want to see how dense it will actually get. If it doesn't get dense enough, then I'll probably use something heavier weight. But I have made ones with like a slightly heavier fingering weight before and felted them, so they were like denser without being like rock hard. Anyways, it's fun.
Cool.
I like other kinds of fiber arts too. Someday I would like to have like a proper like weaving loom, but between the time of it would take to learn how to actually use it, the fact that I want all the things, I want all the fiber arts to be part of my daily life, which is not realistic. And the cost of actually getting a loom is like prohibitive right now. Yeah, I don't know. Anything else you want to talk about?
No, but I'm sitting here like, because you're talking about other things that you're working on, so like I can't help but think about, I'm going to make stockings for Christmas, so
oh yeah,
hopefully by next week when we come and chat again, I'll have something to show. Crocheted.
Yeah, we've had that stocking project has been pending for a long time.
Yeah, it didn't start no, it would have started when Clark was a baby, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so 2 years.
I did Clark's.
He did Clark.
He had one.
He didn't have a stocking at all. Yeah, he was the priority, so yeah. I need to make 4 more stockings.
Did I send you the list of what the stockings were going to look like what the themes for each one were?
I'm not sure. I'll have to look in the bag.
I don't think it wouldn't be in the bag. It was just on my phone.
Oh, okay. No, then do that.
Weird. It was like Clark's was a gingerbread man looking kind of one, right? I think it's like beige.
Green. I don't remember.
Pretty sure Clark's was gingerbread man. Then someone's was going to be Santa, and someone's going to be a snowman. Like, so not actually snowman and not actually a gingerbread man, but it was just like, you know, people know what a stocking looks like, right? It was like say the gingerbread man, it was like all kind of a beigey brown color. And then I put on, his is the gingerbread man, because I put on like 2 lines of white, like icing, and then like buttons going down. And I'm pretty sure that was it. But it was like really, it actually turned out quite cute, I think.
Yes, it did.
Yeah. It's cute.
I can't remember what it looks like. I'm sure it is. I just can't remember.
I don't even think I ever took a picture. So when you're all
I will.
you have to take a picture. Yeah, someday I want to do stockings for us, but I am like, sometimes, not to say I'm a bad mom, but as a knitter, I'm like not as generous with knits for my kids as some people are.
Well, I think you have to know who your kids are, and your boys are busy. They are nutty cuckoo. Yeah. I also would not. I wouldn't. Well, I guess that's not true. I did socks for Ada, and you have done some knits for Ada, and she treats them quite well.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of fun to watch her with her knits because they become other things. Like right now, her shawl, she's downstairs naked with the shawl around her waist, like it's a skirt for her, which is really funny because like it's very holy, kind of like this one. So you can see like her butt cheeks.
Yeah. It was the virus shawl pattern with gosh, what yarn did I use? The Quran cakes, purple. Like the purple and pink Quran cake. I can't remember what the color was called, but because it's like a self-striping ball with long repeats, it's like kind of looks stripy at the first bit. But yeah, the virus shawl has like quite large, for those who don't know, has quite large holes in it. So
yeah, doesn't cover well. But you did make, oh my gosh, like if we have the editing capabilities, insert the picture of especially Reese's costume.
Oh yeah. It's not like I never make stuff for my kids, but it's funny because I'll look at feeds like Tanis Fiber and Tin Can Knits, and it's like their kids have sweaters for like every day of the year, and they're like color work and like hand dyed yarns, and I'm like, if I make anything for my kids, it's like whatever I can make as fast as possible. So like their hats from last year were Tunisian crocheted, but looked knit, like had a knit-like feel in some other kind of self-striping. And I don't know if it was Bernat or a Patton's, like just a regular hank. But so they look like they're striped, but it's like, it's all acrylic. And I put on a pom-pom that cost me $2 because I was like, if they lose it at school, which is what I assumed would happen, I was like, I won't lose any sleep over it because it literally, those hats I could whip out in 2 hours. Yeah. So when they're babies, well, when Reese was a baby, I crocheted him a sweater. I knit him an Elizabeth Zimmerman baby surprise jacket thing, which I should insert a picture of that because it was like my favorite baby knit. It's so cute. And a few hats and things, but like, and I think I made him like some thumbless mittens at one point as well, but not a whole lot past that. He did have one cute, I will say, he did have one very cute knit hat that was a pattern. I have no idea who it's by right now, but the Jovi hat from the Elf movie. Someone like saw the hat that Jovi was wearing. It's like all white right at the end of the movie when she like stands up and sings the Christmas Carol. So someone saw saw the image in the movie and made a pattern based on that. So it's a combination of cable sections. I think there's 2 mirroring sections that are like a honeycomb cable and 2 mirroring sections that are something else, some other kind of cable. Anyway, so I made it in on acrylic, like beige with brown and black tweeds, and I can't think of what that yarn is, but whatever. It was really friggin' cute, and he got so many compliments because it's an adult pattern size, and I don't recall what I did to size it down, if I just changed my needle size or whatever. He has a pretty round, good sized head, so even an adult size hat generally fits him not too bad. So he would have been, he probably would have been like 3 going on 4 when I made this hat, and again, adult sized, and it still fit. But it's a very long, like slouchy hat. So on him, it was like, almost looked like an elf hat, but like sophisticated because the yarn choice is so good. Yeah, he got tons of compliments. He actually wore it the next year too. And now I think it's probably retired. But yeah, I don't knit my kids a whole lot of stuff, but I do make them other things. Like, they know I'm crafty and they know I like to make stuff. So at least once a week, someone asks me to make something. Usually Reese, my oldest, asks me to make something that's like, no, I can't make that. Like, it's like something kind of ridiculous that I'm like, I can't even think of a good example, but it'll be like, can you make me into a tiger? Like, no. It's like, well, I just want to have like a furry orange body with black stripes, but then I want sparkles and lights. Like he'll have like this very elaborate image in his mind. I'm like, one, I don't have supplies for that. Two, I have no interest because he doesn't want it like in 4 days. He wants it 15 minutes ago. And I'm like, no, I can't make you all that. But yeah, when opportunities arise to make costumes, I can't help myself. I have to. So yeah, Halloween just happened, so there were that. And I did post the Halloween costumes, which were a little bit painstaking, but the summer camp one, I think, was probably one of my favorites in the
Ninja Turtle.
Yeah, he wanted to be in, it was Ninja Turtle week at summer camp. He only went to 2 weeks of camp, and out of 2 weeks, I think he actually went for like 4 days because he was highly resistant. Well, partially because we had camping plans, so he would have missed the Friday and the Monday anyway. So then there were only, 6 days left? So he went to like, I don't know, 3 or 4 out of those and cried the beginning. Drop off all of the days pretty much except for the last one. Anyway, so yeah, Ninja Turtle week, the very last day, he went to the STEM camp. I made him, I was like, okay, here's the deal. Like on the last day, you're allowed to dress up. So if you go, I'll make you a costume, because he didn't have anything Ninja Turtle-y to wear. So I made him like out of felt, because it's like I don't sew. Despite how crafty I am, sewing is definitely not on my skill list. So just out of felt, mostly hot glue, a little bit of hand stitching. I made him like a vest that had like, the pad, and I even made like muscles there, like with batting or whatever, like quilt batting in them, and a little sash and a shell. And anyways, yeah, he wore it all day and was quite excited about it. It was good.
Yeah.
Although this Halloween, he was excited about his whole outfit and complaining like mad about the hat.
Right.
Not, it's making my head too hot. Do I have to wear this? I'm like, well, you don't have to wear it, but I did make it with my 2 hands. So it's like, it's so hard. Like sometimes I don't want to make them stuff because like they're gonna wreck it. So then I don't want to make it. But then when I do finally make something, I'm like, you need to sleep in that because I made that. You need to wear it forever until it stops fitting.
Because it wasn't just a hat; it covered like half of his head. So you kind of appreciate.
Because that's how
thick yarn.
Because it was PJ. Well, I was gonna get like a worsted weight because I know he gets hot. He's like his dad. He gets hot. He will sweat out the top of his head if you make him wear a hat inside. So I got bulky yarn though to make it faster because it was like in worsted weight. I just didn't want it to take so long that it then became a game of like Halloween chicken. Because there have been some Halloweens, not recently, but there have been some Halloweens where like because I spend so much time trying to finish theirs on time. It's like kids are coming to the door and I'm finishing mine at the table, And so I was like, I don't want to do that this year. And especially with like them wearing their costumes to school, it kind of has to be done in a timely fashion. So,
yeah.
Anyways, I feel like we're rambling a little bit now.
Yeah, probably. This is how it usually goes for us though.
True. We can spend far too long on the phone. I feel like I also meant at the beginning to clarify when we were sort of introducing that like we often get asked this. No, we are not twins.
Right.
We are sisters. I am older. She is younger. We're not twins. I don't even think we look that much alike.
I don't think so either.
I feel like I can see family resemblance. Like there's certain features that I know are like our family features, and I can tell you who, what family member that comes from. But like, other than that, I don't see it.
Neither do I.
Anyways, on that random note, we will hopefully be back to do this again next week. Might be better, might be the same. We'll see how it goes. Thanks for tuning in. Goodbye.
Happy knitting.
Happy knitting.